For the back pattern of the bodice, first things first, we're going to be looking for the measurement for the shoulder to the waist for the back. Now, this is where most designers get it wrong. The shoulder to waist for the front is actually, for a female figure, is different from that shoulder to waist for the back. This is because the female has breast that is protruding. So when you take the measurement around the bust to the waist, it's actually longer than for the front than for the back, because the front is protruded and the back, of course, there's no breast at the back. So the measurement for the shoulder to waist for the back is a little less than that of the front. So for this client, we have shoulder to waist of 17 for the front, and at the back we have 14 and a half. So this is it here, shoulder to waist of the back, 14 and a half. Let us continue. For we already had this line. I took that line straight for it to be easy for me to draft the back pattern. So now, to get the shoulder, I will take my measuring tape from this point, from the waistline. I'll put my tape on 14 and a half. Remember that my client, the shoulder to waist for front is 17, while for back it is 14 and a half. So I will come here now and place my tape at this point. The red line here indicates the waistline. So I'll place it at the waistline, 14 and a half, and then mark 14 and a half. I'll mark 14 and a half and mark. So I would draw a straight line. So this is now where my the shoulder for the back will be starting from. So at the back now, remember the shoulder measurement is 15, and 15 divided by 2 is 7 and a half. So we have 7 and a half here. The same thing we did for the front. I'll come down here with 1 inch. Then I'll pivot my measuring tape from this point to meet the straight line, 5 inches. This person's shoulder seam is 5. Some people can be 5.5, some other people can be 4.5, so it varies. From those points to the bust line, I'll divide by 2, 3.5. That's 3.5. Yeah, that's 3.5. So 3.5, I'll also mark 3.5. I'll also mark 3.5. 3.5. So this would be my back width. So this client's back measurement of back width is 14 and a half. 14 and a half divided by 2 will give me 7 1/4 of an inch. 7 1/4 of an inch. The bust, remember, after dividing with the bust for the back, we have 10.5, but we'll be marking exactly 10.5. We're not adding any ease for the bust is added only at the front, not at the back. For the waistline, the waist, 39 divided by 4 give us 9 3/4 plus 1 inch for that, 1 inch allowance for that, so we have 10 3/4. So next, for the hip line, for the back, remember, after dividing the hip line for the front, the hip line for the front is 46. The hip circumference is 46. 46 divided by 4, we have 11.5. That's 11 and a half. For the front, we used 11. We removed that half. Now that half that we removed from the front, we're going to add it to the back. Now for the back, 46 divided by 4 will give us 11 and a half. 11 and a half plus the half removed from the front give us 12 inches. So I will join this line. Okay, one more thing. Let me just draw this to make this line. Let me draw this. And then this. Okay, no, I've not measured the shoulders and the side length. The side length is 7. So from this waistline, see, my tape is on the waistline. The line red is the waistline. 7. I'll mark so it's slightly above. I'll draw a straight line like this. Okay. So, but before I mark this place, I want to show you something. Listen carefully. The back, the back is a little bit slopey. It's not straight. So, in order to have your zip lie smoothly at the back, I will come to this place, to the edge of the paper. You see the edge of the paper? I'll subtract ½ inch here. And then I'll use, just watch what I'm doing. You can use a straight curve or slant or slightly curved line. You can use either a straight line or slightly curved. See how I'm placing my ruler? Oh, it didn't show so well. Let me do it again. Okay. And then I'm taking this. See how I'm placing my ruler? From this point, I'm placing my ruler to this. Just follow me carefully. Okay. Now I'll be detaching this plate because my zip is so that my zip will lie well at my back. So I'll be detaching this plate. So from this point now, I've already marked the ½ inch for my waistline. The ½ inch I removed here, I'll be adding it here. So using a slightly curved line, I'll be joining this. And I'll be joining this line. So the next step is to mark my dart. From this place, 3.5. If I take it from the edge of the paper, it will be 4. If I take it from here, it's 3.5. So in order to maintain a straight line, so instead of taking 3.5 from there, I'll take 4, so that the line will be straight. You understand? To maintain a straight line, not a curved line. You remember what we did at the front? From the hip line, you take 3 inches up from the hip line. Take 3 inches up from the hip line. The same thing we did at the front. I'll be joining these 3 lines, these 3 dots, with a straight line. I'll be joining these 3 dots with a straight line. Okay, so, and at the waist, on either side of the line, I'll be marking ½ inch. On that side of the line, I'll be marking ½ inch on either side of the line. So then I'll draw the dart legs now. Okay, then the next is for the neckline at the back. I'll be using 1 inch. Some use 3/4, but I'll be using 1 inch. 1 inch down. So I'm using 1 inch down. You can watch the video again to understand. Sometimes you have to watch repeatedly in order to get the full picture. So and I'll mark the waistline. The curve for the neckline. Okay. Center back, CB center back, side seam. CB center back, grain line. That means this can be placed on a lengthwise grain or on a straight grain to cut. That's what this grain line signifies. And so we have everything ready. The next step will be manipulating the dart, manipulating the armhole to get the bust start. That will be the next step.